She kissed him moments before his execution. Not because she loved him, but because killing him herself would have been kinder than watching the world do it. His name was Dante. Her name was Serafina. And the treason they had committed together was not the one they were dying for. If stories of forbidden love, dangerous longing, and unforgettable fate draw you in, subscribe and enter the fire with us. The storm had trapped them inside Castle Ravenna for 3 nights. Rain lashed the stone walls like 1,000 whips. Candles flickered in the great hall, their flames struggling against drafts that smelled of wet earth and distant thunder. 10 nobles sat in a circle around the hearth, their faces painted golden shadow. Philomena, the poet, traced patterns on the arm of her chair, her eyes lost in a distance only she could see. Pampinea, silver-haired and ancient in her wisdom, stirred the fire with an iron poker. Dioneo lounged against a pillar, his sharp smile a mask for a heart that had stopped believing in happy endings. Fiammetta, beautiful and hollow, stared into the embers as if searching for a ghost. Naiphile clutched her rosary, her knuckles white. Loretica kept her gaze fixed on the window, on the rain, on anything but the ache in her own chest. Elissa said nothing. She never did, but her eyes moved from face to face, cataloging every secret. Pamphilo adjusted his spectacles and waited, patient as a spider. Philostrato sat apart, his love for a woman who would never love him back carved into the hollows beneath his eyes. And Amelia, the romantic, pressed her hands together as if praying for a story that would not break her heart. The fire crackled. A log collapsed, sending a cascade of orange sparks toward the vaulted ceiling. "Tell us a story of impossible choices," Pampinea said. "Tell us of a love that required sacrifice." Philomena closed her eyes. When she opened them, something in the room shifted. The fire seemed to dim. The shadows seemed to deepen. "This," she said softly, "is the story of the kiss before the blade." Serafina had been a spy for 3 years. She had whispered secrets into the ears of enemies. She had smiled at men she was sent to destroy. She had learned to lie so beautifully that even she sometimes forgot the truth. Her mission was simple: infiltrate the rebel camp, earn the trust of their leader, Dante, deliver him to the crown in chains. But no one had told her what would happen if she started to believe her own lies. No one had warned her that the enemy had kind hands, that he read poetry to his soldiers before battle, that he had buried his wife in a field of wildflowers and visited her grave every full moon. No one had told Serafina that loving her target was a kind of treason they did not have a name for. Their first meeting was an accident. She had been caught in the rain, her hood pulled low, pretending to be a lost merchant's wife. He had found her shivering beneath an oak tree. "You are a long way from the main road," he said. His voice was not what she expected. Soft, almost gentle. The voice of a man who had learned to speak quietly, because the world had given him too many reasons to scream. "My cart overturned," she lied. "My husband is fetching help." "There is no help for miles," he said. "Only my camp." He extended his hand. She took it. And that was the moment everything changed. The moment her mission became impossible. The moment she stopped being a spy and started being a woman on the edge of a cliff, about to jump. He gave her dry clothes, hot soup, a place by the fire. He asked no questions. He simply accepted her presence as if he had been waiting for her, as if she belonged there. That night, she watched him from across the camp. He sat apart from his men, mending a torn saddle. His hands were careful, precise. The hands of a craftsman, not a killer. She thought about the knife in her boot, the mission, the crown that was paying her, the family she was trying to save. And for the first time in 3 years, she could not move. Something had rooted her to the ground, something that felt terrifyingly like hope. 3 weeks passed. She became part of the camp. The soldiers trusted her. Dante trusted her. He showed her the secret paths through the mountains, the water sources the maps did not mark, the signal fires that warned of approaching troops. She sent coded letters to the crown. Each one felt like a betrayal. Not of the crown, of him. One night, he found her by the river. She was crying. She had not meant to be seen. But he had a way of appearing when she was most vulnerable, as if he sensed her fractures, as if he wanted to see how they fit together. "What haunts you?" he asked. "Everything," she whispered. He sat beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his arm. Not touching, simply present. "I have learned," he said slowly, "that ghosts do not leave when we ignore them. They only grow louder." "And how do you silence yours?" "I do not. I listen. I learn. I carry them with me. After a while, they become almost tolerable." She looked at him. Really looked at him. At the scar on his jaw. At the gray threading his dark hair. At the sadness in his eyes that she now recognized as a mirror of her own. "What if the ghost is not a memory," she said, "but a choice you have not yet made?" He studied her face. "Then you're standing at a crossroads," he said. "And the only question is, which road you can live with." He didn't kiss her lips. He confessed his hunger through the silence that followed, through the way his hand hovered near hers on the damp grass, through the way he said her name, the false name she had given him, like it was the only truth he needed. The crown grew impatient. A letter arrived, hidden in a loaf of bread. "Deliver him by the full moon, or we deliver your brother to the gallows." Serafina read the words 3 times. Her brother, 12 years old, innocent, a hostage for her obedience. She had known this would happen. She had prepared for it. But knowing was not the same as feeling. And feeling was a luxury spies could not afford. She burned the letter in the fire, watched the paper curl and blacken, and made a decision that would destroy her either way. She went to him that night. He was alone in his tent, reading by candlelight. A book of poetry. Always poetry. "Dante," she said. He looked up. Something in her face made him close the book, made him stand, made him cross the small space between them. "Tell me," he said. "I am not who you think I am. I know." She froze. "You know? I have always known," he said quietly. "You are a terrible liar, Serafina. Your hands tremble when you lie. Your voice rises half an octave, and you look at me like you are memorizing my face for a goodbye you have not yet written. Then why? Because you are also kind and brave, and you stayed when you could have left. You helped my wounded. You played with the children. You cried by the river when you thought no one was watching. He stepped closer. I do not care who sent you. I care who you are choosing to become. She told him everything. The crown, her brother, the mission. The 3 years of lies. The slow, terrifying discovery that she no longer wanted to go home. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was silent for a long time. Then he said, I will come with you. What? I will surrender to the crown. In exchange, they release your brother. You and I, we face whatever comes together. They will execute you. Well, perhaps. They will torture you. Perhaps. Dante, I cannot let you. You are not letting me, he interrupted. I am choosing. For the first time in years, I am choosing. He reached for her. His hand cupped her jaw. His thumb traced her lower lip. I have spent my life fighting for a cause that does not love me back, he whispered. Let me spend what is left fighting for you. He didn't kiss her. He confessed his devotion through the trembling intensity of his gaze, through the way his breath mingled with hers, through the way he said, no matter what happens tomorrow, I want you to know that you are the truest thing that has ever happened to me. She kissed him then. Not gently, desperately, as if she could pour her entire soul into his mouth and keep it safe there. As if the world outside the tent did not exist. As if they had all the time in the world. They did not. The crown's soldiers arrived at dawn. Dante surrendered without a fight. Serafina watched them put chains on his wrists. Watched them march him toward the capital. Watched the man she loved walk into his own execution with his head held high. Her brother was released. Safe, whole, alive. And Serafina felt nothing. Nothing but the hollow echo of a choice she could not take back. The execution was set for the first day of summer. She visited him in his cell every night. The guards let her pass. They had heard the story. They understood. Or perhaps they simply recognized the inevitability of two people who had stopped caring about survival. They talked for hours. About nothing. About everything. About the poetry he loved. About the garden she had always wanted to plant. About the children they would never have. It was a strange kind of happiness. The happiness of people who had already accepted the ending. Who were living not for the future, but for the next moment, and the moment after that. On the last night, he asked her to stay. I will be there in the morning, she said. I know, but I want to wake up with you, just once. She stayed. They lay together on the cold stone floor. Not touching. Simply breathing. Simply existing in the same small space. He didn't kiss her lips. He confessed his eternity through the way his hand found hers in the darkness. Through the way he whispered, "See you on the other side." The morning came too fast. They led him to the courtyard. The block was already in place. The headsman sharpened his axe. The crowd gathered, hungry for blood. Serafina stood at the front. She did not cry. She had promised herself she would not cry. He knelt. The headsman lifted the axe. And then she moved. She crossed the space between them. She pulled him to his feet. She kissed him. Deeply, desperately, without shame. The crowd gasped. The guards reached for their swords. But she did not care. She kissed him moments before his execution. Not because she loved him, but because killing him herself would have been kinder than watching the world do it. She pulled back, looked into his eyes, and whispered, "I will find you. In whatever comes next, I will find you." He smiled. Oh. The axe fell, and Serafina did not watch. The fire in the great hall of Castle Ravenna had burned to embers. The 10 listeners sat in silence. Fiametta's cheeks were wet. Philostrato had his face in his hands. Even Dioneo looked away. "Did she survive?" Emilia whispered. Philomena shook her head slowly. She walked into the sea 3 days later. They found her dress on the shore. Her body was never recovered. "She followed him," Neophile said. "She chose him," Philomena corrected. "In the end, she chose him." Pampinea stood. "The night is over," she said softly. "But the stories are not. They never are. If this story lingers in your heart, subscribe and return for the next tale whispered beneath these candlelit walls. For some loves are too big for this world, and some endings are really beginnings in disguise.